we got six coaches here, so I must make this an opportunity to discuss a verbal game. What are things guys can do to never worry about running out of things to say to a woman? And what should guys be doing to improve their verbal game in general? Who's gonna kick us
Um,
off?
sure, I can try. I think that I don't like the whole idea of having scripts, or at least like concrete things that you have to say in a conversation. I know some people do that and it works. That's never really been my style. I think practice is obviously going to be the biggest one. And also in terms of not running out of things to say, the less you give a fuck, the less likely you are to run out of things to say. The analogy I always give is like if you're hanging out with your friends, do you ever worry about running out of things to say? Probably not, unless you're like super socially awkward. Why is that? Why are you not worried about running things to say with your friends? Because you're not worried that they're gonna reject you. So it's the same thing. If you don't really care, then you'll probably just your brain will naturally come up with things to say. Most of the time, but sometimes you can still have these like awkward pauses, and that's where repetition is going to come into play. Desensitizing yourself to the anxiety you get when you're talking to a girl or in various social situations. Once you desensitize yourself thoroughly, and you give a fuck, you don't give a fuck enough, then you probably won't run out of things to say the vast majority of the time.
Yeah,
Already
100%.
who's
Piggybacking off that, that was great. That was the average man. I did some statistics on that. The average man talks between 15 minutes to 1 hour a day, while women are up to about 4 hours per day.
Oh, damn.
So if you take that, the average man talking 15 minutes a day, let's just say like, he talks half an hour. In order to even catch up to where a woman is at, he has to do massive amounts more. So my one tip is like talk more. That's it. Like if you're like, oh yeah, I talked at the office there for a bit, I went home, I cooked dinner, that's all I talked. It's just like try double that tomorrow, triple that tomorrow, call someone on the phone. Like as much think about us, think about every single person here, right? We are either talking about social dynamics or talking to clients or just, our own dating life. We talk a lot. Why are we good? Because we talk. How do you get better at reading? You read a lot. It's very, very simple. So I would say if they ever want to get like proficient at it, talk more, just in general in life.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would also just add to that. I think it's also accepting that you might just fuck it up. Like it's always kind of a fake excuse that comes up. It's like, oh, but I don't know what to say. It's like, well, the reality is like if you can accept that you might not say anything cool, that you might just fuck it up, that she might not want to talk to you, and just accept mediocrity at the start and fully embrace the fact that you have no control over the outcome of this specific interaction, you usually loosen up and things come to you. But if you're constantly seeking to be perfect, constantly seeking to have loads of stuff to say in an interaction, you're just going to be constantly, you're going to have so much resistance to even going up and starting a conversation. Nothing's going to happen.
Already
Yeah,
who's
cool.
next?
I think, yeah. When I think about like conversational structure verbal game, you need to treat this like a skill. I love this advice for like the newbies, which is, yeah, go out there, talk a bunch, like fuck up, like that's a really good start. But then at that point, you need to think this is a skill. This is something I want to improve. What is the best way to go about this? So I think like one, having an actual understanding and like baseline theory of the principles. What am I actually trying to do in this conversation? What am I trying to achieve here? What do I want to demonstrate? What are the emotions I want to create? Start from there and then ask yourself, okay, what does that look like? You can start having a conversational structure. Now, I agree with Alex that you got to be careful about having these like heavily scripted ideas because then you lose the whole idea of why am I doing this? You lose that first point, which is the principle. So you're not going to learn anything. But it does help you, or it does help students at the beginning to implement those principles in an easy way. So it's like, okay, I want to make the girl feel comfortable. This is what I can say. I want to increase attention here. This is what I can say. I want to demonstrate some of my value. This is what I can say. But then it comes to that third part, which is you need to, again, treat this like a skill and actually reflect and review what you're doing. So go back and think, okay, like that conversation I had with like that girl the other night or that date I was on went for half an hour, was really good. But where did I fuck up? Okay, when I was talking about my travel, I sounded like a fucking broke guy that had nothing to do when I was overseas. Okay, maybe I need to change the way I was saying that. Maybe you're talking about your job and it sounds like you fucking hate your life. And I've had students that do this. They love their job, got an incredible job, and they say like they want to fucking kill themselves. So you reflect and review, and then you implement that the next time you start to change it. But yeah, if you guys are running out of things to say, it's usually just because they're running out of good things to say. So reflecting, thinking about what can I do next time is going to help. And then also, as Sam O mentioned, is yeah, be willing to fuck up. Okay, like just say something stupid. It's cool. You'll learn from it. But yeah, treat it like a skill. Reflect and review, and you'll get better.
Good point. Good point. I would add my very wise coaching here is just talk to hookers in Las Vegas. They're a lot of fun. So we have these students. We do our boot camps obviously all around the world, but when we do the boot camps in Vegas, well, when we do the boot camps, the immersions, we have these different drills that help a student to learn how to talk, you know, a lot. And we have this drill called the alphabet drill. So, you know, every student knows the alphabet, A, B, C, D, or whatever. And I say to the student, okay, you know, it doesn't matter so much what you say. What matters more is that you don't have any awkward silences. Having smooth and continually running conversation, it's kind of like rapport, or it's like a warm hug, or like, you know, stroking a cat in your lap. That is soothing to the girl, and it keeps them in the moment. It keeps them out of their head. So this alphabet drill, you can do it with anyone, but I would have these really introverted students do it with hookers who are sitting at the bar in Vegas. And if you can imagine other dating coaches, like a small introverted Asian guy with glasses who's not very social, he goes and sits up next to a fucking hooker at the bar. And he thinks of a topic starting with A. It's like, I ate an avocado today. The girl's like, what the fuck? Do you like bananas? I have a cat. The cat's name is Dingo. Do you like dogs? I saw an elephant at the zoo. And at first the hooker is like, what the fuck is going on here? And as he goes through the entire alphabet, they're laughing, they're having a good old time. And with conversation, with the way that I teach it on the program is that there's positive, negative, silly, serious, you, me, past, present, future, hypothetical, and factual. There's all these different indexes around any topic. So if you talk about job, then you can talk about future job, past job, ideal job, hypothetical job, my job, your job, travel, and then future, past, present, hypothetical. So there's all, it's really easy to take one topic and then kind of expand off it many ways. So just for the guys listening to this video, some drills that we use to get you better at talking all of the time. The alphabet drill is one, just to keep your mind running. A drill that I make a lot of students do is to sit in front of their MacBook and record themselves for like 2 minutes at a time, just keeping the conversation going. Instead of high spiking, high octane conversation, it's more low octane rapport type of conversation when you're just kind of like shooting the shit. It's soothing, softly spoken, smooth voice, nice rhythm, and back and forth. And a lot of the conversation, you can put words into the girl's mouth, saying things like, I'm sure you would, or I could imagine you would like to, and then having the conversation for her. And another drill that we do is that free association exercise. So I say something like mobile phone or watch, and then you need to think of 5 things associated with that. And then you think of watch, think of Apple, 5 things associated with Apple. And then for anybody listening to this, if you do a free association drill on your own, you think of 5 topics and one of those topics comes up, you can think of 5 topics related to that, and it just keeps going. Then you personalize it, tell your story, ask her story. And I think one thing that most students don't understand is it's great to just volunteer content about yourself. So my guys were at the bar last night in Sydney, and you know, they run out of things to say because they're always asking the girl, like, where are you from? What do you do? But if you just volunteer and say things like, let me introduce myself. My name is Alex. I've got a social media company. I'm here with a group of friends. We just got back from Tokyo. We missed the earthquake by 1 day. So it's really easy to start letting conversation flow by volunteering information about yourself, because you're offering content the girl can engage with, and then she can question you and you can get a really good back and forth going, and she can prompt you to keep chatting. So instead of, you know, desperately trying to suck conversation out of her, offer content, and that will drive a lot of conversation. But yeah, remember that tip: go to Vegas and talk to hookers at bars.
Basically.
The alphabet game is fucking hilarious. I'm losing my mind in the bar. It's hilarious.
If you do sales, you'll get good at talking to people also.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was in sales before. Yeah, that was fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think these are great. I think guys need to be really careful though of developing like some negative habits around conversations. Because what I see a lot of times, some guys go in and it's all about just, oh, I just want to talk. I just want to talk. And it becomes like this little bit of a, what's the right word for it? Like gimmicky or silly. And I see students like this that come on program and I'm like, what are you doing? Right. They just sound like ridiculous. And it's like, they've taken these, like games that they can play or ways to become a little bit more social, and they haven't like developed from that and haven't moved forward. So this is awesome. Get warmed up, but then you need to start thinking, okay, what is actual good conversation here? Because if you're just like talking at the girl, or if you're just like making silly jokes all the time, like no girl's ever going to fucking take you seriously. So you need to always, just as a warning, like everyone listening to this, you can use all of these, you can get more comfortable with conversation, but at the end of the day, you need to start thinking what is going to be attractive conversation, like move on to that. Maybe an obvious point, but I just get frustrated seeing guys running around the city acting like idiots all the time.
A lot of guys do miss serious conversation. They miss genuine compliments and genuinely sharing themselves, what they've done, and genuine factual observation. You're exactly right. So many students, they get to this, they realize that they can be funny and silly and crazy, and they use it like a machine gun. They don't really know how to control it, but it has to be a perfect balance between silly stuff and playful stuff and serious stuff about yourself, about the girl you're talking to. Imagine it like a compass where you're kind of balancing between the two. If you notice you're too silly, go back to serious. Too serious, add the silly. A lot of serious guys suck at being silly, so that takes a bit of training, but no, otherwise I agree with the point.
Well, yeah, me too.
I found that funny about like the alphabet drill, that is some kind of game, because at least with games, it's not something you take too seriously. Of course, in the last 2 minutes, that valid points. But for starting off, if you see it as a kind of game, self-amusement, like that was fucking hilarious to me, just talking to strippers at a bar in Vegas. Alphabet,
You
what a
should see
weird
it.
fucking game.
You should see
I
it.
want
You
to
can
see
imagine
that shit.
a stripper sitting there at the Wynn Casino. It's like, hey baby, you want to have some fun tonight? It's like, I have a cat. I have a dog. Do you like elephants? I had a feather? The girl's like, what the fuck?
It's just so fucking random. But I think it's pretty good in the sense that if you're treating it as a game, you're not taking it so seriously. It's like, do people think about that time 5 years ago when they lost that game of Monopoly? Nobody fucking cares. It doesn't matter. It's just a game. But when you treat conversations at the beginning, at least, like a game, then I definitely see that extremely useful. But alrighty, let's move on to the next one.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah,
Sorry,
go ahead.
I'm starting to wake up. It's like 8 o'clock here in Sydney on a Sunday morning. I just got back from fucking church. So when you're having a conversation, you can do certain things that unstifle you. A lot of guys make safe conversation and they don't want to risk embarrassing themselves, asking for something from the girl. It's very polite. It's like the kind of conversation where you don't want to have any chance of losing the interaction. But if you can do something that's outside of your safe zone, and that could be something like a dance move or a hug or, moving your hips, blowing a kiss, fist pumping, something that shows that you're willing to be a little silly, you've set a precedent of silliness, of openness and non-judgmentalism in a conversation in a bar with somebody that you're meeting. So your scope of conversation can be far more colorful and exciting rather than just where are you from, what are you doing? But so what I would do when coaching is I would instruct the student to say something like, do you think my hips are dangerous? And he just pointed his hips, and that's an unusual, silly, but possibly funny thing to do in a bar. And once he's laughed at himself, and she's laughed at him as well, and you set that silly, funny, open precedent, then your mind is open to say a whole lot of things, like talk first and then evaluate what you've said later. Similar what's your last name? Alex playing with fire? Valachek or something? Alex V. What Valachek said just before. So if you can say something silly or do a little dance or blow a kiss, or this is my favorite song, something a little silly, you set a precedent of openness where you can flow a lot better, which is the answer to this question. Sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, mate.
No, that's all good.
I just want to make a comment on that, if I can. I think I think this works really well for guys like Alex and I, and students we probably have that are like very playful, sarcastic. Like this is kind of our personality. Always cautious about that when it comes to students that are a little bit more, let's say, like older, serious. It's good to have like a variety. I just find like it's really hard to take a student that is like very serious, has more of a dominant archetype, has a like that daddy feel, and then get him to go up and do like openers like I would do, which is, I like that. Like, hey, my hips are dangerous. Okay, you got to be careful. I think those guys are much better off just going up and saying like, hey, look, I got to be honest with you right now. Girls like, what? You look absolutely fucking amazing. And so you can have like a variety of, let's say, emotional spikes. You can give the girl like that emotional experience, that open-minded feel that, okay, this guy's different than everyone else. And I think there's like different spectrums and ways to do that. I just don't want guys to feel like, oh, fuck, I'm not that like funny, sarcastic, outgoing, like crazy dude. There are other ways to like create those emotions, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with Marcus. It does depend on personality type.
You know what the
All
funny
right.
thing is? Most motherfuckers don't even care. They don't even try half the fucking time. They don't like, they're like, oh, I should get good at my conversations. I should get better. And they do nothing about it. It's like fucking
Yeah.
at least try. Like at least do something to improve your life.
That
They
that
don't even help
exercise
themselves.
speaking to you, yeah, the exercise speaking to your own camera and then watching it back and then doing it again and again and again. It works wonders for all you
life-changing, isn't
guys
it?
listening out there. Yeah, yeah.
That's
And
life
you can do
changing.
it in
That
the
fucking really improves them.
Did you guys learn that from RSD? Because I remember Owen talked about that a long time ago.
No, I just wanted to look at myself every day. That's it.
Cheeky
we have to
Australians.
speak so much in these free tours. Me and Sam, the way I talk about it is like we're children from the same orphanage. We were like beaten by the same parents, and it made us strong, but also some scars. So, like RSD.
Oof.